Oh, look, we're on the internet.
Hello there.
I think this is working.
It's always a crapshoot to start this thing
Technology is a thing.
Yeah.
And it's telling me we're live. So I can't say for sure, but this is episode 287. Why is Jason Rantz in the press box?
It's really an existential question, to be honest.
Is it even existential? It's just like a question that you could stop 4 words in and just be done with it. So here we are. Thanks, John, for the clarity on the audio being good. We will probably have some wicked ambient noise tonight as it has been pouring off and on for the last hour plus. So we will bear with, and please let us know if we need to adjust accordingly. I should probably tweet something that we're like live and
that's probably
on the internet or whatever it is that we're doing. So how are you doing?
Good. It's been an interesting couple of days.
That's a word. Do you want to? Should we open the show with DC United being trash or Portland being trash?
Yes.
Or neither.
Or neither.
We just move on and come back to that later.
Yeah, let's come back to that later. That's not nearly as interesting as the game on Saturday.
So that Jordan Morris guy, he's okay.
Pretty good. Yeah.
That's not at all what I was expecting. Like, were I to call hat trick from a player, like if you said hat trick's coming, I don't think I would say Jordan Morris. I wouldn't like throw him off the list, but he probably wouldn't be the first name I would call.
He'd probably be second, wouldn't he?
Maybe.
Because
after Eddie Johnson was the peanut gallery comment. Uh-huh.
Should we introduce what this is and where we are?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Where are we again?
We're at Berliner in Renton, 4th and Main.
That's amazing. Yes. It's actually one of my favorite things in life.
Yeah, it really is.
Who are you
really
again?
Mickey Turner. You can find me on the Twitters at TurnerESQ. Who are you?
Tom. And by the way, celebrating Russia's investment in American media tonight with my Russia hockey jersey from a number of years ago. So thanks, Moscow. You're the best. As John Oliver drops corporate daddy on AT&T. This is our media daddy.
Yeah.
Russia.
Again, where did you get that? You said that off air, but a friend
of mine from St. Petersburg, Russia, got it for me as a gift, kind of as a joke. One year. Actually, like well before any of the current stuff was a thing. Yes. He and I also came up with the joke idea of making a TV show that was kind of like Punk'd, but it was called Putin'd. And we actually like came up with the whole like a real concept, but it was like, global level pranks being played on you by Vladimir Putin. And now those have happened, and it's called Electing Donald Trump. So... But, like, I'm being totally serious. We came up with this in, like, 2003. Like, at lunch one day. We definitely should have sold it to someone. I don't know if MTV was the right choice.
Yes, I don't think that's their demo.
we would have made a considerable sum of money on it in rubles. And then we would have been executed.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think you would have lived to have enjoyed that.
So anyway, welcome. To the Berliner. It's a good week. We got a lot of soccer happening. I'm already exhausted, and Wednesday isn't here yet.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts. Saturday was those early kickoffs are just I do not like them at all. But the only benefit to me is that you get the rest of the day after you're done. But you're exhausted after 90 or 120 minutes, as the case may be.
If you want to know about people being exhausted, Eileen just shipped out the ECS Monkey Mail for people who bought tickets from ECS.
Oh, for Wednesday?
We have a March time of 6 a.m. So we think, we haven't quite done the math on that, but we think that might be Bothell.
Yeah.
So be prepared for an update. March is actually 6 p.m., but if you want to start at 6 a.m.,
yeah, mimosas.
That's cool.
Mimosas are.
I don't think that
could
you
be a worse way to
probably
spend
could
the
get
day.
Mimosas. I don't think that you could drink at like the what's it called, the McMenamins there until probably like 10 or 11. So you might have to bring your own and just get on Lake City Way, and it'll be fine. You'll make it to the match and whatever. Anyway.
Oh, speaking of which, PSA, the match is going to start at 7:05 sharp. None of these TV shenanigans where
we hear there's an up to 10-minute wiggle.
Up to 10 minutes?
But the 10-minute wiggle is if the other match goes long.
Goes like extra time / penalties. Yeah. Because it is a doubleheader, but from everything we've heard, they want it to start on time, so there's not going to be any of the previous shenanigans.
So we're not going to start at 7:32 or
So
something.
no extra time in the first game at all.
Let's hope not.
Yeah. So anyway, that's just a PSA, and so tell your friends, schedule to get downtown accordingly, because it's probably going to be a zoo. Getting out of work and getting downtown. So anyway, but I guess it's a first world problem to have to deal with because
game starting on time.
Yeah.
Oh, who's sad about that?
So how was the section?
It was
in the game.
Super fucking awesome.
It looked good. Tifo was great.
For 12:30 kick. 12:30 kick is brutal typically. Like you're filling in a lot of gaps, and not that everybody was there, but I think we had pushed it at the bar, pushed it on email, pushed it elsewhere. Folks were all over it. I thought it was good. I was really excited about the choreo.
Yeah, it looked great.
It was
great.
Super neat. It's, again, especially with rain, it's real hard to get cards and just get everybody to participate. The message was cool. It looked really awesome from all directions. So every photo I've seen from either side or from the far end looked cool. You were in the press box?
Yeah, I was in the press box.
How'd it look up there?
Yeah, it looked very good, very good. Obviously, we're on the side, so we don't get the cleanest look, but it looked very good. So
good.
So, yeah, good way to start the game, and the Thunder started out well as well.
It's a good end of the regular season, beginning of the playoffs so far. Shameless plug, ECS end of season party tickets just went on sale like 2 minutes ago. So get in, $25, 30 at the door. New venue.
What's
it's
the venue?
Fucking cool.
Has the venue been announced?
Within Soto.
Oh, come on.
Oh, it's not one?
Yeah.
Do you not like Within Soto?
Oh, is that what it's called?
It's actually called Within Soto.
Oh, well, okay.
What?
I am a dork then, because I thought you were being facetious.
You are going to dig it, and the rule is it's ECS prom, so dress accordingly.
I've already got my my pants arrived.
Did you get
Very
hammer
exciting.
pants?
I should have done that, but no.
Still got time?
I actually did have hammer pants. My first concert ever was MC Hammer, as we get way off the subject of the Sounders. First concert ever, MC Hammer. I did not wear the hammer pants. I was too scared.
Okay.
That's all I got. But I'm looking forward to the party. It should be a good one. It's always a lot of fun.
It should be a good time. Yeah. And if, Sounders, heaven forbid, actually are productive in this MLS offseason, the LA Galaxy play along, we could have a really fun road to the end of the 2019 season. So bring it. Yeah. So
should we talk about the game?
We probably should.
Yeah.
Where should we start?
Start
at the end?
Oh, gosh.
Start at the beginning. Start at Jesse Gonzalez.
There's Jesse.
So many storylines.
So Jesse Gonzalez has obviously been a pain in the ass since 2015. In the playoff game, for those of you who may have been down in Frisco, Texas, I was there. We have some audience members that were there, and it was just a brutal end to the game when the Sounders, tied it or took the lead by tying it, I guess, in the the 85th minute or something like that. Immediately give up the lead after that, go into extra time, nothing happens, and then they are just terrible in penalties. And Gonzalez has a couple of saves, and that was 4 years ago, and they've had some good battles with him. He is a pretty good keeper, all things considered.
Let's
He's just
be clear.
incredibly obnoxious.
The two keepers on the field are better than the two keepers that start for the U.S. men's national team. I'm sorry. I do not regret saying that. The fact that they are not
a part of the
even
roster
considered is baffling to me.
It's
doesn't mean he's not good.
He's very good.
You could be an asshole and still be a good soccer player.
He's really good. It is a bit surprising that he hasn't gotten more of a look with the national team, especially bringing in Brad Guzan for the 86th time. it's just like his
doesn't
time
make
is
any
done.
sense.
But so anyway, so Gonzalez is obviously a very good keeper, but he has some antics that obviously rile up the opponents, not the least of which Sounders fans. And when he was here in September in the 0-0 tie, I think that was September.
Who can keep track at this point?
Yeah, right. It's all a blur. But I don't think he did anything particularly special in that game. It's just the time wasting antics at the end of the game were pretty egregious. And then in this game, he took it to a whole nother level. Again, he had some really good saves, but he was just, he was his usual obnoxious self. And
he was like, I want to see how far past the midline that I can go.
That was that's one of the most ridiculous things I think I've seen in quite some time in a soccer game.
And it wasn't just like one time you're running down the field. Multiple times. Cool.
And that was on the Silva shoulder ball or back, deltoid ball. And just, come on, running out, 50 yards to scream and try to get, waste time so VAR will come and take a look at the ball, take a look at the play. That was ridiculous. And then he topped it potentially by probably should have getting sent off for, grabbing Nuhu around the throat.
They both probably should have been sent off in that moment.
Yeah. Well, and so, Nuhu was obviously towing the line and probably crossed it by several feet. Although I don't know if he did anything per se that was like red card worthy. It's just the whole essence of Nuhu was on display
in that moment. Red card.
Yes. So just the combination of everything that he brings, kind of probably if he had gotten sent off at that point, it wouldn't have been a surprise, and he probably couldn't have complained, even though he probably didn't do anything that by itself was a red card. And so, but Gonzalez obviously got off much lighter. Yeah, I mean, at a minimum, he should have got a yellow card, which would have been the second one.
People don't want to shift
the
keeper at any point. So,
and they were out of subs, so they would have had to play a field player, which would have been entertaining on several levels.
We could spend like 40 minutes trying to figure out who it would have been.
Ooh, that's on FC Dallas. I can't even think of anybody. But so anyway, aside from that, he was good throughout the game. None of the goals were really his fault, except for the Morris winner probably. Although I don't even think that one was his fault per se, because it was a good header, and he was off his line because he had saved the previous shot. So it's again, you can't really blame him for that. Maybe he didn't get back in time to make a play like he should have, but it was still a pretty good header by Morris. So
that guy's okay.
Yeah.
He I haven't spent that much time reading a lot of the stories in the last couple days on Center at Heart and elsewhere. But man, like, talk about legit comeback player of the year experiences. Like, look, if you follow any sports, let alone just MLS or soccer in general, there's not a lot of times where the story is really, really good. There's like, oh yeah, that person was better than average the year after they had this horrific injury. This is like, nope. He's like stomping people at this point.
Yeah, he is. His progression is pretty incredible this year, and he talked a little bit after practice, and you could just tell how confident he is now in his abilities and how comfortable he is with the switch from being a forward to being a winger, and how he's embraced it, and how he's adapted his skill set to play the position. He's taking people on. He's got some tricks in his bag now. He can, he's doing some, fancy flicks and stuff to keep possession of the ball. So that's not something I had really seen before from him. And so if he can add that to his game, along with, his developing, shooting and accuracy with his left foot, then, there's really the sky's the limit for him in MLS. And it's been impressive to see. And then we're supposed to get the Comeback Player of the Year award tomorrow, so you can probably guess. Well, I can just keep your eyes out for news around 10 o'clock. That's all I'll say.
For no apparent reason.
Yeah, I'm just saying, look out for news around 10 o'clock. Yeah. Sometime around when the Sounders are going to be training. That's all I'll say.
So, anything coming out of the match that we should be looking out for between now and Wednesday?
Well, the good news is that everyone's healthy,
right?
Which is
so it's still everybody but Bruin coming out of the last match, right?
Yeah,
cool.
Bruin is obviously he won't be back, unfortunately,
for sure.
Well, he'll be back, but not this season. And so yeah, everyone. So really, the issues going into the next game are just kind of whether he needs to rotate anything and anybody, which is a good, I think, debate that will be had in the next 48 hours. Is does he move anybody out of the starting rotation because of all of the minutes that they played? There was 8, I believe, internationals that were on international duty, and I think 6 of them saw significant minutes. And, Torres, there's a prime candidate to maybe be rotated.
Yeah.
Because he played 90 on, I think, last Wednesday for Panama, or it was last Tuesday. Then he obviously plays 120 on Saturday. And then you've got this game on Wednesday. And he... I wouldn't say he was like really feeling the effects of it. He had the one unfortunate play where he couldn't stop the Reggie Cannon goal, but that was it was kind of a bouncy, deflected ball, so it's I wouldn't put it all on him. But just as he's getting up there, and that's a lot of miles, even though he had a rather long vacation. It's still a lot of minutes for him to play in a short amount of time. And then they got Smith out of there, so he should be good to go, because he only played basically half the game.
Yep.
And then obviously New only played half. Joven came out. Rodriguez only played half-ish of a game. That's probably the biggest story, I would say, out of the game, just as like a personnel issue. Is just
Victor?
Rodriguez getting 60 minutes, looking decent. I think he had a little bit of rust coming out off of a long, his long injury break, but him coming out of the game and not having any, ill effects is a really good sign, because I would say they're really going to need him against RSL, because they're going to need someone who can break down defenses, and maybe for the first time since the Vancouver game, they could have what they deem to be the starting lineup available, which is incredible, because that was back in March.
Like, that was terrifying to even think about how long ago that was.
Yeah, that's crazy. That just illustrates how horrible their injury issues were all year.
I think you could see a little bit of mix and match. Also, the fact that the game's Wednesday, and the next match would be Tuesday. Right? That's a good chunk of time.
It's a good 5-day break.
That I think you could also do the, start who you want to start, do some damage at home, and then adapt.
And then see what happens if you have to go back on the road to LA or not. And then we asked Spencer after practice, like, is this is this volume of games a problem? He said it wasn't really a problem. 4 days of rest is fine. It's when it's a 3-day break that they run in. He thinks they run into problems. So the 4th day should be fine, especially since they were done relatively early on Saturday. So he didn't seem to think it'll be a problem, but it'll just be interesting to see if there is any rotation at all. I would, based on absolutely nothing, I would bet that they get Rodriguez a start, because I think they will want him to. They'll, number one, want him ready for future games if that happens, and he got a good run out, and better to start him and then have to bring him off if you need to than to bring him on. Yeah. And then he goes down, and then you've burned a sub. But aside from that, my hunch is that they won't change anything else. Obviously, no one else is really a candidate to be rotated whatsoever. So it's basically, I would say the questions are Rodriguez versus Jones, and then Arriaga versus Torres. But aside from that, I think they're pretty good to go, and it's for once they have gotten healthy at the right time. Yeah, and that's not been the case in, gosh, since 2015 maybe. Ever. 2014, because they lost Dempsey in 2016, obviously, and Morris in 2017, and then they lost Ozzy for one of those years too. So yeah, it's things are looking solid, as solid as they can going into the game.
Yeah, I can never tell if like a barn burner type game is confidence building or not.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Dallas had stomped on someone previously, so
yeah,
I'm not terribly surprised that they were able to like bring it and put 3 on the board again a week later.
Especially since they've played the Sounders well all year.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like Fry has, like, unfortunately stood on his head and still let up a bunch of goals.
Yeah,
and that's one part being hung out to dry a whole lot of times. I haven't rewatched it yet, so I didn't get to see is Stefan Fry yelling at people for doing things poorly on the field situation yet. I mean, I think the prevailing theory is that one of the goals is probably on him.
The Acosta goal is
the
about
others
80% his fault.
The others not.
Because he could have, if he was on his line, he would have had that.
But I have to tell you, there have been other keepers that Sounders and other teams have had that were they to have let up as many goals as Fry had this season, you'd have been like, cut him.
Yeah, they've been
outright. Let him go.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone feels that way, and it's because dude stands on his head every match. And frankly, both of them made a couple saves.
Oh, yeah, it's incredible.
In that second half that you were like, wow, still in this. Because sometimes players get in your head, when you lose it, and that did not feel like it was the case at all.
Well, Fry was great in the extra time period. He, I think I watched the game, rewatched it this morning. He had 5 saves that were just absolutely, top of the line, and then had a couple of other. He didn't have much else to do in regular time because the shots that were on target went in the back of the net, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But in the extra time, he was absolutely immense, and definitely to save the Sounders because if one of those goals goes in before Morris gets his, who the hell knows what happens after that. And so. It's just, unfortunately, their defense is just not as good as it has been in the past. That's the bottom line. It's really, there's not much else to say about it.
That's what happens when Chad Marshall retires. Torres gets suspended, and
you lose Ozzy, who may not be what he was, but brought a dynamic that I don't think they still have replaced yet. And they don't play the same way, even though they kind of run the same formation. They're just things that Ozzy does or did that, again, they haven't been able to replicate.
Yeah.
And that, again, and then also part of it is just they haven't matched up that well with Dallas. As I said, I remember going down there to watch them in preseason, and Dallas just passed the ball around all game and just dominated. And then they went down to Dallas in the regular season, lost 3-0, although, to be fair, that was during the injury/international crisis. And the Sounders had, I think, half of their starting lineup available. So, take a little bit off of that one. But then they came up here and got a 0-0 result as well. So they hadn't beaten them yet this year. And, sometimes you just run into a team that's a really good matchup for you. And so maybe that's not necessarily indicative of how they would play against somebody else. But RSL's been a tough out for the Sounders historically. Obviously, we all know how the playoff series have gone, even though they haven't played together. They played each other in a while.
The main plot point of a certain movie by a certain Scott Levy. So
yeah, and so they're going to present, and they kind of remind me of Dallas in a way, maybe a little less dynamic and less high level. Youth players.
Yeah,
because Dallas is just loaded with talent.
But they have always been. And clear.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Not that it's really made a difference.
Yeah, and that's the other problem is when you play a bunch of 18-year-olds every year, you're not getting the experience that you need. If you don't keep them until they're 24, 25, then you're not really getting the benefit of.
They may have more youth talent than people in the stands from a week-to-week standpoint. So, I don't know. I think we're going to, once we get through this year, based on how things have gone so far in this, one and done scenario, I'm curious to see if teams build differently, either just all year or for when they start to build their 18s going into the playoffs, because it's a different scenario.
Yeah.
Especially going away. for any leg.
Yeah.
Or non-leg for any match, you have to play a completely different game, here. And while the home field advantage didn't work for everyone this weekend, it just very much seems telling to me that this is very different. And it's kind of like when you saw even like Major League Baseball and other sports change like different rounds of playoffs, like go to best of threes or whatever. Like it changes the way you build your roster ultimately.
Yeah, I don't know what, this is assuming they keep the format, obviously, which I think they will. I don't see why they would.
There are 386 teams in MLS next
well,
season?
we are getting two new teams, so we'll be at 26. So assuming they keep the same 14 in the playoffs.
So what does that mean? You play everyone 1.2 times?
I don't know if they've that's a good question to ask them, is if they've decided how they're going to structure the schedule next year, because this year it was perfect because you had you played your division twice, and then everyone in the East you played them once. I haven't done run the numbers.
Maybe they'll just get rid of a couple teams and keep it at this number.
Are you suggesting that term that shall be not be named?
I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting that NYCFC won't know where to play, and then we'll just move on.
Yeah.
No. Let's not even go there.
Yeah.
I think if we say that out loud, does Ted just show up in the chat? Is that actually a thing? Is it like
shows up in your
Beetlejuice?
Bedroom? It can be very horrifying.
I want no part of that. Like zero part of that at all. Let's move on. So let's just talk about play in general. Again, 4-3. You can't exactly say that was a positive outcome, but like as far as match goes, like way too much defensive lapse or them giving in to Dallas's attack, which has been hot again.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, but any 2-3 takeaways you have from the match?
Well, again, I talked about one, just that their defense is just not as good as it has been historically, which is why they've just given up goals that we are not used to seeing them give up, especially on set pieces. No, I'm good. With Chad Marshall in there, you weren't used to seeing people get beat on headers, on corner kicks, because he was, especially when he was with Roman in their heyday. They were
like Eileen says, set pieces, man.
Yeah. They were just clearing everything out in those days, and whether it's just a combination of a lack of familiarity, a lack of just experience, a little less, quote unquote talent, and just lack of concentration, you could probably toss all of that into a bucket and stir it around and get the answer. And then I guess the other thing on the negative side is, again, Dallas was just passing the ball around for a significant majority of the half, and that's not to say the Sounders didn't control large portions of the game. They were obviously the better team for the first 40 minutes, and then they also had a good run in the overtime, in the extra time period, and then right when Morris got his third, when I was rewatching, they were peppering Dallas pretty good. But aside from that, they have trouble getting the ball off the opponent, and I think that's a function of they're more content to absorb pressure, and then their midfield just isn't the ball winners that they have been in the past when they had Ozzy. And so that's just, again, it's just the way they're playing these days. And so I think you're just going to have to get used to that until the off season, and they make some changes. And then but offensively they look fantastic for the most part. They finished most of their really good chances.
Yeah.
And as opposed to, as we saw in one of the other games, in the Minnesota games, where they had about 37 chances and sent them all into the stands. The Sounders have the quality to finish those.
By the way, shout out to Ozzy Alonso for not finishing at all on a certain thing you may have caught. I don't know if you caught that. Oh yeah, if you like skying a ball. Also, he should definitely have had a penalty called against him. But that's
I do recall seeing that. So that's just that's kind of the difference between the Sounders and a team like Dallas or a team like Minnesota, not necessarily Dallas because they finished the chances, but it was a different way that they were going after the Sounders again on set pieces. They were finishing and it wasn't the run of play so much.
And Eileen brings up set pieces, man.
Yeah.
Not great.
No.
And they're not great on multiple fronts. Like,
Yes.
they're not defending them well. They're
Yeah.
not taking them well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As far as defending them, Smetzer had a bit of a critique of Morris, of all people, on the goal that where Fry was probably mostly at fault.
Yep.
Basically saying that Morris didn't cover a guy who was on the back post. And I think that was more to keep him grounded a little bit and not let his, not inflate his ego as much. But it was also a legitimate point in that, the defense was just a mess on that play and nobody was covering Acosta, who, managed to head it in. And again, he seemed to think that was an issue that could mostly be resolved just by, watching film and training and stuff like that. So we'll see if they're able to fix that. I don't think that's Salt Lake's game per se. They're more on the break and break you down. So I don't know if they're going to be dropping a lot of corners and set pieces in.
That's why I worry about the counter.
Yeah,
like with the way we've seen the defense operating right now. Like, you have a couple of players that all you have to do is up and over, the defense, or get in position to swing a great ball in. I don't know if that's something the Sounders are excelling at defending against right now, especially if there's a little bit of team speed coming at them.
Yeah, remember the Kansas City game that they lost? They got killed on the counter like 3 times, or at least twice. It was again, that was kind of a function of how they played. They send their left and right backs up the field in attack, and then if you just get something on the break, you've got 2, maybe 3 people.
But that's where you can see a team. Again, you're playing away. Yeah. It's not that anybody can say focus on countering, but I don't know. You're going into hostile territory, with a team that can score a decent amount of goals in Sounders. If you're RSL, like, you may just want to, try and burn it down a little bit here and there. So I don't know. I don't know if I really know what to expect. I know coach's comments, as you've just echoed, about, the set pieces, defense on corners, things like that. Like, using words like "not great."
Yeah.
He's actually almost polite at that point.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he was less polite in the locker room. Salt Lake. Again, they don't have the talent, the high-end talent that the Sounders have, but they've got some good veterans, and then they've got Ramondo, who can easily pull a Stephen Fry and stand on his head.
Sure.
And, even if the Sounders decide to pepper him for, 60 minutes, can still keep everything out of the net. And then, you're in the 75th minute and the scores are at zeros, and then you're wondering if you're ever going to get anything past him, because it's happened before. But again, on the other side, not to sound all gloom and doom, the RSL hasn't played that well on the road all year, and so it's not like they're facing a juggernaut in that way. So, we should probably not oversell the danger that they present, but they definitely present some potential problems.
Well, I think in this case, it's just in the same way that Cascadia matches are. RSL's played really well over time against Sounders, so in playoff soccer. So there's no way to ever really walk away from that. Like, it's a thing until it's proven that it's not. Teams get in other teams' heads, and whether you could say some of that was Ziggy and Brian's situation, or different situation, then maybe.
But, that's been a while since they've played. It's 2012, I think it's the last time they played in the playoffs. The Mario Martinez game.
It's so funny.
Incredible goal. So it's not like, Dallas and the Sounders obviously have a playoff history, but it's hard to say that RSL and the Sounders really do at this point, even though there's been a couple of memorable games. It was like 6 years ago. Yeah. So I'm not sure how much you can take away from that. I mean, even if they still have a couple of players from those series, funnily enough, in Beckerman and Ramondo.
Those guys.
Yeah. But again, who knows if well, Romano will obviously play, but Peckerman, they might rotate him because he's getting up there and it's on short rest, and he's not the threat he used to be. Anyway, so I don't know. I think they don't match up nearly as well against the Sounders as Dallas did, who clearly demonstrated that they could give the Sounders everything they could want over the course of the year. So, the Sounders won here, RSL won down there, and fortunately the Sounders are at home this time around.
And one and done. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, new playoff format.
Yeah.
So we could spend 40 more minutes just having like Jordan Morris appreciation thread.
Yeah.
Which seems to be a thing. We could dig into some other playoff stuff and then kind of come back to Sounders.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the other playoff games, because the new format that's mostly the same for this round.
So did you watch everything else?
The only game I didn't watch was the Atlanta New England game.
So did you really enjoy that Toronto DC United?
I saw the extra time. Actually, only saw the extra time of that one as well.
That I don't know if I've ever seen that happen, like that bad. Like I've definitely seen like an easy goal or like a shitty thing happens. Excuse me, but like bang, 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 like just keep shooting them.
4 goals in 15 minutes.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that was a new one. I mean, DC.
Did they forget that they were playing? Was it like that Liga MX match where the team just decided to stand there for 3 minutes and like let the other
protesting
team score?
Rooney's departure? Talk about a team that just didn't meet expectations. They came into the year with Rooney and Areola and all those guys and Acosta, but I think the beginning of the end for them was basically when they didn't sell Acosta to PSG.
Yep.
Oh, well, I had heard that was probably overstated a little bit, as far as like he was like on the plane ready to take off, and then they nixed the trade or something like that. So I think it was a little less than that than meets the eye. But regardless, you get the chance to go to PSG and you think you're going, and then you don't, and then you pout for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And then Rooney has his stuff going on as well. And then they never got it together, really. And then to give up 4 goals, and
it's bad.
That's just a hell of a way to end the season. And I saw they showed one play sometime in the extra time period where Rooney was chasing a ball, and then someone was coming to close him down, and he basically just stops and like steps him and lets the guy take the ball and go the other way. And then at that point, you're just like, okay, he's checked out. He's got his bags packed, and he's taken off back for Derby County.
He left today or whatever, right?
Yeah, I mean, he obviously never got settled here, which is, well, I should say his family never got settled here. Let's just put it that way. And it was just a crazy thing where it was an amazing short whirlwind of a relationship that just blew up spectacularly at the end.
Yeah.
And and now that DC United's left with no Rooney, and I think Acosta's now he's out of contract, so he can leave on a free, I think.
Really?
Yeah, so they went from selling him for $10 million or $8 million to now they'll get nothing for him, unless they can re-sign him, obviously. And so that is just that's a hell of a way to end your year.
It's good to be, in a new stadium and have a couple stars leave.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Well, hopefully they'll fix and finish the stadium at some point.
But it looked cool. All 8 of them setting off flares in the section.
So, but anyway, so that was obviously highly entertaining and a nice train wreck, which kind of encapsulates their season, I would say.
Yeah.
For the most part.
So you said you didn't watch the Philly?
Oh no, I watched the Philly game.
I was going to say,
Absolutely.
You did watch Philly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't watch the Philly game, but my phone kept going off because I set up some stupid alerts for that. And I was like, stop talking. And there was a great interview on the field with Curtin after the match where he was like, he said something, I'm paraphrasing. It was like, oh, it was super boring.
Yeah,
nothing happened on the field in the match today, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So good on them. Good on them to win a friggin' match.
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
it's the first playoff win. It was just an incredibly entertaining match. Obviously, we're biased out here, and the Sounders game was as nuts or more nuts. But I guess the thing that game had that the Sounders didn't was that Philly was down 2 goals on 2 separate occasions and had to come back in the game. And then it was just this situation where they their goalkeeper, they probably wish they had Stephen Fry in goal because Andre Blake was responsible for all 3 goals going in. They were he had some of the most shocking goalkeeping play I've seen in quite some time. But their crowd was absolutely on fire. So good on them for, selling out the game. And Philly usually brings it when, in those big occasions. So that was really cool to see. And then, they got a pretty good team. And the Red Bulls are not what they used to be. And again, if it wasn't for, Blake, the Red Bulls probably don't sniff a lead in that game, and Philly probably takes care of business. But when you have a goalkeeper basically ushering balls into the back of the net, then it's going to be a problem
for them having picked or traded for or bought like 700,000 keepers in like a 5-year period. They were like, we're going to put all our eggs
what
in
was
this
that
guy.
guy's name? I can't remember.
They had a number of people.
Ray Shimboli or something like that. They got him from like Algeria or something. After they had drafted Blake,
they just what?
I'm gonna spend $800,000 on a keeper. It was after the World Cup, and he had a good World Cup, and that inflates prices. And then he was there for like a year and a half. Anyway, that game was absolutely fantastic. Great to watch. If they do condensed replays, I definitely recommend go back and
get that 7-minute run on,
or like the 15-minute extended
even
highlights.
better.
Definitely watch it. It's absolutely
sorry, it was
worth
the
it.
Atlanta match
Atlanta, New England. I didn't watch
because Atlanta, New England, and who cares?
One goal in like the 80th minute, so that was
so
meh.
I could go back and watch what our recaps were or predictions were from last week, but I'm not going to do that.
Oh, I wasn't here. I was on my deathbed, so.
But you were.
Yeah.
But we did make predictions, and I think we're actually somewhat accurate. Garrison and I threw it around a little bit. I may have said Red Bulls just because I wanted them to do something at some point ever.
Yeah. They're
like, we're going to win the Supporter Shield some years and then bomb out.
Yeah.
Or we're going to be trash and then also bomb out.
Yeah. Well, I think Will Parchman, who used to work up here, said with that loss, they have lost in their 10 years that they've been in the playoffs to 10 different teams. So it's they've managed to spread the misery around.
So I would say like the RSL Portland, not surprised. There's a part of me that's like Portland's going to win because Portland, blah.
Yeah.
The Galaxy, Minnesota, though. I don't know if I would have said that.
Well, again, so Minnesota dominated possession for that game, but again, we talked about this earlier. They just could not finish to save their life. Some of the shots that they put on goal were just shocking.
Darwin Quintero.
Well, okay, yeah. There's Adrian Heath is another issue as well in his roster selection. I guess Quintero. They said he was sick, but he still managed to go 30 minutes, which meant that he was able to go 60 minutes. Because if the game would have gone to extra time, you presume he would have played the extra period.
Weird.
So why not just start him for 60 minutes and then see if you can get a goal or two, and then you can take him off. But that's been a weird relationship all year. He's been on the bench. He didn't start the Open Cup final. either's, which
is
just
baffling.
Yeah, it just seems crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Heath he's an odd guy, and so
maybe
Minnesota
he'll
can't
go back
finish.
to Orlando. I mean, they couldn't get worse.
They do need a new coach.
He could go to Red Bulls.
Yeah. Are they going to fire Armas? Is that
Didn't that already happen?
I didn't hear that. That'd be surprising.
They're not retaining him.
Yeah. Really? Wow. Okay, I did not see that.
Yeah, there was like a tweet yesterday morning by one of the New York Bulls.
Wow.
Yeah, which means maybe his term was up anyway.
Yeah.
But
whatever. His contract. Well, I'll definitely come back to that. But anyway, as far as Minnesota goes, yeah, they couldn't finish, and then they do not have the high-end talent that the Galaxy have, because the Galaxy are pretty much mediocre to terrible at all places on the field except for at forward and in the defensive midfield, and they have a good winger in Leggett, and then they have Dos Santos, the good Dos Santos, and then obviously Zlatan. So they got three good players, and the problem for Minnesota is that Zlatan is so much better than anyone else on the field that he just raises the standard, and he can do one thing or pull one thing out of his backside and pull his team to a win. Of course, the irony yesterday is that he was not very good at all and had nothing really to do with their scoring 2 goals, but they got a goal from Leggett, who's pretty good. And Dos Santos had that nuts knuckleballing,
great goal,
incredible goal. And again,
but Zlatan looked cool hanging from the crossbar.
Yes, so dunking on the crossbar.
He's got that
is very impressive.
For him.
So, yeah, but again, those three players are arguably better than anybody on Minnesota, save Quintero, who can't seem to get a game. And so, yeah, Minnesota may have been a better group, but they didn't have anybody who could finish, and the Galaxy did. So that's not. I didn't find that one particularly surprising. I'm sure lots of people pick that as an upset. It's a 4-5 matchup anyway, so it's not like it's a huge shock. But so now the league can pimp the El Tráfico for the next 3 days. It'll probably be very insufferable.
It's really interesting though, because LA is actually losing its shit because Lakers Clippers play tomorrow night, and they actually don't like each other.
Yeah.
And again, in the same vein of fans have changed allegiances over the years because all of a sudden the other team's good.
Yeah.
Same deal is happening here with LAFC and the Galaxy. I think that's going to be kind of nuts.
Oh, I'm going to watch. It's going to be great. It's going to be absolute
ratings
train wreck.
boom.
Yeah. It's going to be great. I think.
Sorry, East Coast, don't care.
Yeah, exactly. They can stay up. And then I think Baxter from the Times tweeted out that tickets get-in price is at $300 now, just to get in the door
low.
for the game.
I saw higher.
Yeah. It might be higher now because it's probably
get-in price $300.
$300.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a
MLS,
lot of. There's some 4-digit stuff that's out there. I'm actually going to go look right now.
I'm sure
just while we're sitting here.
I'm sure there are tickets, but that's the minimum low nosebleed price was $300 to get in. So it's going to be. Yeah, I did see some not speculation, but just like chatter that maybe they should move the game to the Coliseum, which would be really cool. But I think there's probably some limits and lease stuff that prohibits that from happening.
So right now, $185.24 is the lowest price.
$185 or $1,825.
$185.24.
Yeah. Is the get-in price. So
$200
basically with all the fees and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Because there were some $3,000 things flying around, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, it's LA, so, a lot of people
have that
money to
Field
burn.
Club, like downstairs, there's somebody selling a single for $3,300.
If you can get it, I guess, as long as it's not in the supporter section.
Cool.
And... yeah, it's going to be...
Dude, parking passes are $99.
Oh. Yeah. Why would you ever
Drive
do
market.
that?
That's what happens.
Yeah. That's you gotta have so that's going to be a great game. I will absolutely be watching. I'm glad it's not on it. It's not part of the Sounders game, so you can just watch it and know what the Sounders have done. Because obviously one of those teams will be playing the Sounders, assuming the Sounders advance. So not to count the chickens and all that good stuff, but either Sounders are staying home or going to L.A. And we'll know late on Thursday. That'd be nice.
Tuesday, just hang out. Whatever.
Yeah, because that's going to kill that. Tuesday game's obviously going to kill travel.
Yeah.
Even with the presence that the Sounders and ECS has in LA, it's just a rough trip to try to get to on really short notice.
Flights were not terrible when I looked the other day.
Oh, really?
And I will say, there again, if you have certain status on certain airlines, you could definitely just book and this is the point where it's what 7:30 tomorrow. So if you want to take the risk,
yes,
you could watch the game and then take that 24-hour risk moment and then just cancel your ticket at the end of the match on Wednesday, because they start a half an hour later on Tuesday than Sounders start on Wednesday. So you actually could do it.
No, they're on Thursday, right? Yeah, they're Thursday.
Or Thursday, excuse me. So you could take the risk. Yeah, but you could take the risk after Sounders win. So buy the Sounders ticket now.
And then cancel.
Or tomorrow, 24 hours out, and then obviously hope you win, and then just deal.
Yeah.
Or not.
And it's not. It is drivable. I'm sure there will be a few insane people who do that. It's a 20-hour drive. 19, 20 hours.
18. Come on.
Wow. You got to build in.
Where are you stopping?
Yeah.
What are you doing that it takes you 20 hours to get to L.A.?
The only time I've driven I went to school in San Diego, and so I drove back and forth.
Fairly further.
Well, I'm just saying it. You would stop in L.A. and visit friends.
Got it. Okay. And Mickey's I stop at all of the in and outs now, and only get animal style.
Stop in Weed, California.
Animal protein style burgers.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, all right, I'll concede that you could do 18 hours, but
John suggested
it's still a long drive. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. My brother lives down there. That'd be a good excuse to get down there.
All right, let's leave Sounders out, but we've got 3 games. Let's make some predictions. Let's start where we are right now. LAFC, Galaxy.
That's a tough one.
Thursday the 24th, Bank of California Stadium. They spell bank so eloquently.
Bonk. It's going to be. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. As I think they've all been, if I recall, have been nuts in one way or another. I have a tough time seeing the Galaxy being able to deal in their current state. Even though they only gave up 1 goal against Minnesota, their defense is just a disaster in the back. They started 4 center backs in the game against Minnesota, and LAFC certainly has more pace to burn. And so I'm going to go that LAFC finally gets over the hump and gets it done. I'll say 3-2. 3-1, and then Zlatan will do something to make it interesting in the last couple of minutes.
Okay.
But I'll say 3-2,
so
LAFC.
3-2 LAFC.
Yeah. As much as it pains me to say.
How cool would that be? Jerry says stadium burns down. And we're just going to leave it at that. I'm going to go the other way, 3-2 Galaxy. And I'm going to say you get a Zlatan, demolishing his opponents.
Yeah.
He scored a goal, and the announcer was 3,252 Zlatan fans. And I was announcer troll.
Yeah.
I don't know. I agree with you on what you just went through from an analysis standpoint. I just think LAFC's been kind of
they've
going
been a
through
little
the motions
slow
for 2 months.
Yeah, they have. And the other thing that definitely cuts against them is you wouldn't expect Zlatan to have 2 bad games in a row. and so he's probably going to want to come back.
I think that's actually illegal. Like FIFA by rules state.
Yeah. He was not. Yeah, he was not good in the Minnesota game at all, and I'm sure he knows that, and he's gonna get himself up for that game. And it's a good shout. I just think LAFC will finally get it done.
Let's swing 2,000 some odd miles to the south and east to that Philly Atlanta thing that's going to happen. This feels like it should be obvious.
Yes.
Right? Like
yes.
Philly coming in going, we finally won a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
They're happy. They think, they can call it a successful season.
Atlanta's still the defending champ.
Yeah. The problem,
I don't see them giving in.
No. The only problem I see for Atlanta is that they're going to be missing their 2 center backs because Parkhurst had that nasty shoulder dislocation, and Robinson is probably questionable at best, and so that gives them, I think, Gonzalez Perez, and I don't even know who else they have.
Who, by the way, is a card waiting to happen.
Yes. He could easily get a red card. If there's someone who's, I would predict to get a red card in the playoffs, it would absolutely be him. So that is definitely iffy. And if Philly can get Elsinio to do what he does, because that guy is just filthy. He is 30 minutes of just when he came in and played the Sounders, he just ran circles around him. It was a miracle that they, kept him off the scoreboard. So, my guess would be, I'm going to predict Atlanta's going to win, but I would say if Philly can keep it close until they can get Elsinio in the game, and if they can do that, then I would give them a puncher's chance of springing the upset. But the issue will be if they can stay close up until that point, because he's only good for 30 minutes and plus maybe extra time, but he's not going to play any more than that. So if Atlanta can blitz them before then he's not going to matter. But if it's close, then he can absolutely come in and do some damage, because especially going after Gonzalez Perez and Lorenowitz as the center backs, he's going to have an absolute field day with that. So I'll predict Atlanta, but I'll leave myself that little tiny out if the game's close.
Okay,
in the last 30 minutes.
2-0 Atlanta. Philly bombs out like it always does because it's trash sports town. Fuck them. Let's go up and a little bit more to the east, because heaven forbid Man City B plays in its home stadium.
What a disaster.
Actual disaster. Yeah. Like it's... People have ragged on MLS for being embarrassing for random reasons over the last couple decades.
Yes.
This is very much...
It's up there.
Like, I thought the shitty 35-yard take-a-run penalty shootout thing was terrible. This is worse. Yeah. Andrew Shue played for a professional sports team. This is worse than that. Because if you know anything about Yankees-Mets... You don't want to play in the other team's stadium ever.
Well, the other
as a home game.
Yeah. The other option was Red Bull Arena.
That might be better. It
still might happen, by the way.
Are Nazis allowed into Citi Field? Do we know? Have we checked with Don Garber on this one? Because I don't know if they're allowed to leave the borough. Is that like a thing? No. But it also, actually, I am serious about that. Yeah. So Toronto coming in hot at this point. NYCFC obviously comes in with the bye, not playing at home. I have no idea what that field's going to look like. You thought it was a weird layout at Yankee Stadium. Yeah. Like, is it even going to be pointed the same way? Like, I have no idea how they're going to set this up.
I know they played one game there. I don't know if it was a regular season game. I don't think it was.
I don't believe it was.
And I don't know when that was either. So my prediction for this game,
I predict 30 to 60 minute lines at the Shake Shack.
I've not been to that Citi Field.
I'm being totally serious. Anyway.
Your
prediction.
3-1. Toronto goes to the to the
damn
MLS, what Eastern Conference Finals. That is yeah, that's
Altidore finally does it then.
yeah. I mean, that is somewhat contingent on Altidore, but I still think they've got enough either way to get it done. I'm just predicting an upset. I can't say there's a specific good reason for it necessarily, but I think Toronto's gonna get it done. So I'm gonna use that as my upset pick because I've been all chalk.
I was gonna say
far.
1-1 penalties. Toronto wins. I think the non-home field thing is going to be a big factor. As much as NYCFC plays half its games on a trash, wrong dimensions field and is used to being out of a soccer element all the time, I think it's going to be bad. I think it's going to get in their heads. I just think it's going to be different. And frankly, I think Toronto is coming in angry. Not like we had stress angry, but we're like, we fucked up DC.
Yeah.
And they're just going to come in hot. So I'm with you. Toronto comes out of this, which sets up a really interesting
final
for the East.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're like, oh, last team to win, prior team to win.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. Best out of 3 versus Toronto sounds super fun right now.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Yeah. That would be a really entertaining pair of finals. Seattle, LA's versus LA, and then
like irrelevant of which LA it is.
Yeah.
Just
and that would guarantee the Sounders CCL as well.
It's actually NYC making the Eastern Conference Final. I think is a good TV play. But LA, Seattle, Atlanta, Toronto is actually like a good media thing. It's not as good as the NYCFC one. But that's at least gets some, international flavor in with Toronto. I don't know. That's fun.
Yeah. Oh, we have an answer that NYCFC and Columbus in October of 2017 was at Citi Field.
Oh, God. That is awful for them.
I do not remember that at all.
Good shout to Bregel. Doing some research. We could hire a producer. They could also do research.
Yeah. Let's start the Patreon for that one. Get someone else on board.
And then there's this game that the Sounders are going to play.
Yes.
Versus
RSL,
RSL,
I've heard
which we've somewhat discussed.
Yeah.
But like all in prediction right now.
I think Sounders will win. Because I think they have more talent and they're at home. I'm struggling to come up with a scenario where Salt Lake really, takes it to the Sounders because I'm trying to figure out how they're going to play, if they're going to bunker or not. They're not a bunker team per se. They just like to break out and move and transition it, but they're not sit 8 people behind the ball and just try to get 1 or 2 chances. They'll go for chances, and so I think again the Sounders are healthy, and if assuming that there's fatigue doesn't play too big of a role and there's not too much rotation, they're going to start their biggest guns in the game, and that should be more than enough to take it to Salt Lake, especially at home, where again Salt Lake hasn't historically played particularly well, and so the one X factor, I guess, for lack of a better word, is probably Raimondo. If he is more than capable, as we all know.
He's had a big game or two.
Yes, he's managed to break Sounders' hearts on occasions. I think we all remember the playoff game here after the Sounders had come back from the 3-0 deficit and cut it to 3-2, and then he just made just an insane save to keep it at 3-2, and the Sounders couldn't get the third goal. So I would say he's going to be the X factor. If he can, if the Sounders can get an early goal, then I think they'll cruise. If they can't, and it's going to be hold on to your butts time. But either way, I think they'll win 2-0. 2-0 final score.
What if I was going to say 2-0? Do I not? Can I have to change my score?
You could say 2-0. I don't.
9-0 Sounders. No. I could say 2-0. Same 2-0 Sounders. I just think they're feeling confident. Quick turn. Ideal 11. Frankly, probably ideal 16, 17 at this point. Like,
Bruin is the only one. That's not available. I guess Ocampo, Chavez, and Leyva won't be here either. But I think they weren't going to play either way.
I think they're feeling good. I think they've recognized where the gaps are, and coming out on top from a 4-3 match teaches you a lot. Yeah. People probably are going to watch a little video between 2 days ago, and
like I said, Arsenal's not a set piece team per se. No. But of course, that you get one or two, it doesn't necessarily matter. Dallas had a couple of big guys up front. Hedges is a pretty big presence in the central defense, and obviously he can get on the end of a ball as well. And RSL doesn't necessarily have that, but they've got probably as dynamic players, generally speaking. So, anyway, that's just my general thought. Is if they can clean up the set pieces, then that's just one less thing that you have to worry about, and hopefully that will eliminate. If they get out to a lead, then they're not giving up something cheap to allow RSL to get back in the game.
Do that. Rachel, by the way, asks how many Twitterless Victor Rodriguez goals.
How many? What kind of Twitterless?
TVR. Come on.
Oh. Just how many goals by Rodriguez?
How many goals by Rodriguez?
I didn't say who would score.
That's his name. TVR.
Oh, yes, of course. I apologize. I should have known that. I would say I could see him get one. That would be a good kind of redemption arc for him, given his struggles this year. I would say Morris and Rodriguez get on the scoreboard for the Sounders, because I don't think RSL has anybody who can handle Morris.
I would agree
whatsoever
with that.
Yeah, there's not many teams in the league that at this point can bottle him up. Well, his only issue is if the fatigue and the miles on his legs get to him. But again, he's a young kid and strong, so I don't expect that to be too much of a problem. So,
well, and like the confidence level after. A hat trick.
After a hat trick,
changes your game significantly. And frankly, even if it means you're going to draw two defenders consistently, we all know what that looks like on Sounders when you have 2, 3, 4 deadly players out there on the field. Yeah. Like when Deuce and Obo were getting doubled, Lamar Nagel was like, oh, just put the ball in my foot and I will magically score a whole bunch of goals. So there are enough players on Sounders that can make up for that kind of thing happening.
Yeah. The thing... it'll be nice if they can get Rodriguez out there, because I think he's a better option than Jones in attack, and that moves Jones back to a bench role where they can work him in if they need a goal or they need a substitution, if they need to take Smith out of the game. So that'd be a great option. So he has been in training for the last couple of weeks, and obviously got 60 minutes in this game. He should be ready to go. And you don't need him to play the whole game. If you can get him 60 minutes and get a couple of goals, then you can take him out, and then you've done what you needed to do. So,
do you think? I really like Jones at winger to start. I just think it's a little bit terrifying to some teams. Do you think if you have a player like him on the bench, that's actually more scary to them? Like they don't know what to do with it, and it actually makes them in like a chess scenario, like do or do not different things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously that left side is now. Well, I guess Rodriguez will be playing on the right, because I doubt they're going to move Morris to the right at this point. That'd be insane based on what he's doing. So. Yeah, if you're moving Jones to the bench and he's still playing on the left, I mean, it does present a problem, because he can play 3 different
you could
positions.
Put him in a whole bunch of different places.
You could probably, in theory, put him in right back, and he would, do a job. It's not clearly not his best position, but if you needed
that job would be overlapping runs to terrify the defenders.
Yeah.
So
defensively, it's not his forte, obviously, but he can at least be serviceable there. So yeah, that's four positions he can basically play, either left or right back or left or right wing. So yeah, that's a nice option to bring it on the bench, and they do a lot of yeah.
Good job, Megan.
Yeah. Someone's water break is what's going
like
on.
Actually, like an ocean of water just fell off the roof outside. Anyway,
so yeah, that's a good option, and it would definitely I could definitely see it. I just think if you can get Rodriguez in there to start, you're giving yourself the best chance to get as many goals as possible, and that should be what they are trying to do. They should be trying to get 3 goals in by the half.
Rachel's angry because I only said 1 goal.
Oh, well, we do apologize.
Of 2.
Yes.
That's 50% of goals, Rachel.
A fairly decent output.
So 2 things in the comments. Bregel, 538, because they're accurate. Yeah. Sorry, I had to make that joke. Predict Sounders at 70%. Last match, they said 66%. Upgrade.
Yeah.
Nice.
Apparently, Eileen says tickets to LA round trip are $400. Yikes! That is.
I mean, it's
cheap.
for like a couple days from now, though.
Oh, you can't complain, I guess. Per se.
It's a weekday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Or you could
it's
drive.
a little too rich for my
road
blood,
trip.
She is contemplating driving. Train. There are options. Again, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but
you and Mickey, you and Rachel are fighting, Mickey.
What?
Yeah, says you're fighting.
Oh,
because you only called 1 goal. Wow.
I'll
Jerry is on Team Rachel. I don't know what to say right now. Anyway, Eileen also asks, will someone other than Nico ever take corner kicks or free kicks? That's a great question.
The answer is no.
If Brian Schmetzer is watching right now, please answer that question.
That sounds like a terrible way
Mickey's like,
to,
I am absolutely not asking that question at practice.
Yeah.
Do you remember that time that Mickey Turner got his press badge revoked for Sounders? Will you see Jason Rantz at practice tomorrow?
I have never seen him at practice.
Weird.
Actually, he may have been there once. Yes.
I have so many comments about the fact that Aaron Campo pointed out that he is Jason. Did you say Ranch? Ranch. I mean, whatever.
But like the Eastern Washington Trump voter ranch, not ranch dressing, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, get that. Although I like ranches, so let's not demean every ranch. I can't decide if we're devolving or evolving right now.
I have so many questions.
By the way, the new question, courtesy of Shannon, is favorite Pop-Tart flavor. It's a good question. Wait.
Ice cream sandwich Pop-Tarts. Never.
That is it.
I'm ending the show.
Yes. Yeah. Are we done here?
What is your favorite favorite Pop-Tart?
Oh, that is a tremendous question. I'm gonna go cherry. Cherry.
Is it frosted or just like the plain?
I do like the frosted ones. Yeah, I like the frosted.
I'm always between the brown sugar cinnamon one or the like I don't know, sprinkles-y frosted strawberry.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Which is like, it's actually the sweetest thing on the entire planet. Like, you eat it and you're like, I don't need more of this.
Yeah.
I don't think I could eat the s'mores. I mean, I have eaten them untoasted, and then I didn't eat all the corners because they're too hard.
Yeah. I mean, they're all delicious. I could
These
eat
are the important
any-
questions.
yeah,
Let's be clear.
I could eat any one of them really, and not have a
better
a
toasted or
complaint.
untoasted. Always better toasted.
Well, that's 100% accurate.
Do you like them burnt on the corners?
No, if you burn the corners, you are fired from using a toaster.
Any other
We
questions?
did know that, actually. Do we have any other questions? Can anything top that? At this point, no. Oh, yeah. Should we even release your name on the air? Because people are going to... So, Kristen suggests Pop-Tart ice cream sandwiches, and aside from the massive amount of sugar that I would have were to have one right now, I really want it, and I'm super disappointed that I've never thought about this concept before in my life.
I honestly have never. Sounds amazing. Yeah.
Whoa. Pop-Tarts or toaster strudel?
I mean, toaster strudels are solid, but they're
Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, I would go Pop-Tarts. Just
Like
Yeah.
caloric intake and makes you think about your childhood.
yeah.
Toaster strudel, though,
I've got no
there's
complaints.
something to toaster strudel.
Yeah, I'm not hating on toaster strudels whatsoever. That is absolutely true.
It could be a la mode, though.
Yeah.
The peanut gallery is on point
Yeah.
tonight.
that's-
Carrie has never had toaster strudel. People are going to bring Carrie like 30 boxes
yeah.
of toaster strudel
Just wait
when
till
she's
Wednesday.
standing
This is-
outside
yeah.
a voter registration
It's
booth.
guaranteed to happen.
By the way, earlier, I'm going to scroll up because this was a comment that I was like, should I repeat this? Carrie said where is it here? I'm a government employee. I'll drink mimosas whenever. What's fun is multiple government employees here at the bar also agree. Cool. So we've got theoretically 8 minutes left. Is there anything on Reddit that we should talk about?
I didn't see anything.
Is there anything else we should talk
Well,
about?
Sacramento, I guess, getting a team that we could say.
Oh,
Congrats
that's
to-
right.
yes.
Is that the 29th team?
It is the 29th team. So now we're there's a race to 30. I mean, Sacramento's good for them. They were waiting a long time for this, and
They got burned like what, 6 times?
yeah, it was getting ridiculous, to be honest. I mean, I guess to be fair to MLS in one degree, one of their owners, like, it came out that he had like no money or next to no money to support a team, and once they found that out, they were like, "Sorry, you got to redo your bid."
He was like that guy that bought the Islanders at one point, and then all of a sudden people were like, "You literally don't have any money to do this."
Yeah, I mean, it's like the same situation.
It's actually terrifying.
Yeah, because you can't have someone like that come into the league and not be able to pay,
The
what they-
ridiculous expansion fee.
Yeah, well, that as well.
The
but
Ponzi scheme that is expansion franchises in MLS.
Yes.
Mickey's going to be like,
I'm disclaiming
I have a
any
drink.
analysis on any. But no, seriously, they don't want a situation where you get like the owner of the union who doesn't spend any money on designated players, and there's obviously 6 or 7 other teams that fit that bill who don't spend any money, and they didn't want someone coming into the league and being like, yeah, I can't really afford to spend on the roster. And
I mean, let's be clear though.
fair enough.
If you were a designated player, like let's think about who designated players are. David Beckham,
Thierry Henry,
Thierry Henry, Wayne Rooney,
Dempsey.
Clint Dempsey, Obafemi Martins. Would you ever, in 10 billion years, go to Sacramento on purpose and play 17 times a season? Because the answer is no. So they should just get a discount on paying the expansion fee because
offset,
no one wants to go there. You know what, though? They can have, what's his name? Adam Moffat as designated player. He's still there now, isn't he?
He can't. Yeah, I was about to say he cannot still be playing.
He might be. By the way, Hope says, you're begging me to ask for your takes on most handsome sounder. Is this an all-time or current? Because the answer is different.
Yes.
Current, both. I'll go with both.
Rachel is also a designated player, and she refuses to go to Sacramento. Dude, the hot takes from Rachel right now are
she's
good.
on fire at the moment.
So, most handsome sounder.
Or you're gonna have to go first because I'm gonna have to cycle through the roster here real quick.
Nelson.
Of all time.
I'm going to say Brad Evans.
He's pretty sexy.
And he just barely, I saw him on the street the other day, and I was like, hi.
Yes.
He didn't notice me at all. I was so upset. He looks like a snack. Yeah. The best part is that half the section now knows that song as opposed to when it was like 2 people, which is fantastic. So I'm actually with Carrie on this. It's Brad Evans and Stephen Fry.
Oh, okay.
For
All-time
former
and current.
Sounders, it would be Brad Evans and then Nelson Valdez. What?
Who?
Alex Morgan.
I mean,
Best looking sounder.
we're slicing real thin.
Yes.
Alex Morgan was the suggestion. I'm going with Stephen Fry for current Sounders.
Yeah, sure.
He's pretty sexy.
I got
That's
nothing.
You got nothing?
Yes.
He's like, I'm letting this go.
Yes.
He's like, I'm quoted on the internet.
Yes.
It was a good question, I think.
He's a fan of Hope Solo.
I see a question in regard.
Rachel's really angry that I didn't say Victor fucking Rodriguez.
There was one question or one mention of Player of the Year voting. Is that's still open?
Still open. Get your votes in for the lads.
When does voting close?
Great question. Not sure. I'd have to look.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Before the
might
party?
even be a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because the party's not until the 23rd, so there's still like a month.
So this is good. We've got 3 minutes. Right now, who's your player of the year?
Oh, everyone's going Fry. I'm going Fry too.
It's Fry.
Yes.
Right?
It's hard to come up with another answer. I mean, vote for whoever you want. Absolutely.
You know, Chad Marshall is definitely going to get votes. Will Bruin also going to get votes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's Stephen Fry.
Yeah.
Right?
It seems like it has to be. So.
It's not Roman Torres. Sorry, Roman.
It's Victor Rodriguez. Victor Rodriguez.
You trying to get Rachel points?
Yes.
Whoa,
That's a good way to
everyone
do
is
that.
super mad at us right now.
Yeah, no, my
Rachel says
notifications
she's so
are-
mad at SonarFeed.
So you get renewed.
Yes.
His name is Raul fucking Ruidiaz, is another comment.
Clearly opened a
They're
can
coming
of
in
worms
hot
here.
right here at 8:58
Yes.
p.m.
It's good. Yeah, we might have to go into hiding here.
We should, go into the witness protection program. So that was fun.
Yeah. I will be back
So,
next Monday.
We should be here next Monday.
for a preview of the final.
I
Hopefully,
think even if we had a game on Tuesday, you'd be here Monday, right?
I should be here. Or I should be available.
Would you go to LA if we played down there next week?
Oh, that probably unlikely, just on the short notice. Yes, we'll see how that goes. Right now,
All right.
to be determined.
Well, this was fun.
Yeah, good times.
You know, Mondays in Renton.
Yeah.
Thanks to the Berliner.
Yeah.
Thanks to y'all for coming down.
Yeah, thanks to our very lively crowd.
Thanks, Mickey Turner.
Thank you. we'll see everyone
It
on
has
Wednesday.
been that kind of, I'm just going to say it, fucking Monday. Thanks, Stephen Fry.
Yeah.
Good night, y'all.